Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you are very welcome. Please take your time, subscribe, turn on the post notification button so that each time I upload a brand new video, you are notified. Hey, my name is Frida Tate and I'm here with a brand new video. In today's video, I put together the culture shocks that I experienced moving from Zambia to Canada. I was born and raised in Zambia. So when I moved to Canada, there's just some things that I was kind of shocked about. And this is exactly what I'm going to talk about. Now, for people that know me personally, they know that I have lived in Canada for quite some time. I moved here like in 2004, right after we got married. I lived here for many years, and then at some point we just decided that we are going to try some life in Africa, Zambia specifically, because that's where I come from. You may be wondering, like, why am I now coming up with these cultural shocks? I did some cultural shocks that I experienced, some time back on my channel, but I really think that I have kind of, seen some culture shocks. Like even up to now, there's some new things that I experienced that I'm kind of shocked about. So in a way, you could say I'm being re-shocked, if that's even a word. So that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today. And another thing is, when I lived in Canada in the day, I moved to Canada, I did not have kids. And then when we started having kids, at the time we moved to Zambia, my oldest kid was 3 years old. And then the youngest was a year and a half. So like there's just some things that I experienced differently back in the day compared to how I experienced those same things like right now. Because the same child that was 3 years old is now 18, and the one that was a year and a half is now 16. So I have like more kids because 2 of them were born in Canada, 3 of them were born in Zambia. So it's a big family. Like I put together some points just because I don't want to miss anything out there, just in case there's anybody that would benefit from that kind of information. So I put together 10 points that I'm going to talk about. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Number 1 point that shocked me is the extreme cold. Honestly speaking, it's nothing like I had ever seen before I moved to Canada. So when James came to Zambia to see me, and then he was talking about Canada being cold, I said, okay, yeah, everywhere it gets cold, right? Because even in Zambia, it gets cold. Now, comparatively, that the coldest I have experienced here is like -40, -45. Sometimes it even gets colder than that. And so it's only something that you can understand after you see it. Because when he was trying to explain to me, I was like, no, what kind of cold would that be? And then when I asked him how cold it gets, he wanted to put things into perspective. And so he's like, okay, put your head in the freezer. And mind you, the freezer was only like -17. Oh, that is cold, it's freezing up and stuff. But then he said, put your head or your face in the freezer for like 5-10 minutes. And that's exactly how cold it gets. Even then, I couldn't comprehend because I was like, okay, what kind of a country would that be? Why would people even live there? So after I moved here, that's when I was like, oh, okay, that's what James was talking about. So yeah, extreme cold. Number 2 point that I am going to talk about is people keep their distance. People keep their distance. They enjoy, they love their personal space. Okay, what do I mean by that? Like, okay, you get onto a public bus or a public transportation, right? Unless it's really, really busy, it's really full, that's when you see people going to sit or on the seat where somebody already is, because they just love, like, you could have some empty seats, like you are sitting on the three-seater, and then someone gets onto the bus, and then you were thinking, okay, perhaps they are going to sit like where I'm seated, because there's some empty chairs, right? Some empty seats. No, they will pick some seats because they just love their personal space. And like even in lineups, like when you go to the grocery store, right? And you are on the lineup, like people just to maintain, just like to maintain a certain distance. Partly that's because of I guess they got used to like whatever happened during coronavirus, where it was a law just to stand 1 meter in between the next person and yourself. But even then, like people, I'm sure here people didn't find that difficult, just because that's the kind of life that they were used to. And another thing is, I think in the same line, is just like people just love to spend time in their house. So like you could be living here and you've got all these neighbors surrounding you. Sometimes you don't even know your neighbors, just because people would rather keep to themselves than just saying about hi or willy-nilly, that kind of thing. Number 3 thing I am going to talk about is everything runs on time. Everything, it's not a bad thing. And like, honestly, when you have an appointment, whether it's a corporate appointment, whether it's a hospital appointment, you want to make sure that you get there on time. Because if you don't, and you miss that appointment, then they'll just ask you to reschedule. This is exactly what happened to me some time back. You see, there was this appointment with a specialist because of my condition, and so there's a specialist. My family doctor made arrangements, scheduled the appointment for me, and then trust me, I have been waiting for that appointment for almost a year. I was looking forward to it. But what happened when that date rolled around, something weird happened, to where I missed my appointment by maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And then when I finally got there to at the specialist office, I was told, no, you're late, nothing you can do. That just broke my heart. My heart sunk, because I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, why would I even do that? But that's another story for another day, because it wasn't on purpose, but I missed that appointment, and I couldn't believe it. So anyways, they finally rescheduled me, and I was given 2 months for me to get that appointment. So on top of almost a year, now I'm here like, okay, we don't have any openings right now. The earliest opening that we have is in 2 months. So that's what you are going to do. I almost cried. Trust me, I learned my lessons such that when that date, I had put alarms like all over my phones, and I was just looking forward to that. And when that day rolled around, I made sure I got there on time. I was actually waiting in the waiting room because obviously I was early. It worked out okay because I made that appointment and here I am. Yeah, so the next thing that I want to talk about is self-service culture. You know, coming from Zambia, it's not a thing there. But then when I moved to Canada, it was shocking because even when you go to the grocery store, there's some grocery stores where if you choose not to wait in line and like so that you can go through the cashier, you can choose to go in just to self-service where you are just punching in whatever you're buying and then you even pay through the machine and all that, and it just works out fine. It's just as good, and people are just like that. They love that. And yeah, so it was shocking to me to see that, like, you go to the store, you are expecting a cashier by the till and then da da da, but then no. But then it also happens at the gas station, which we call filling station back home. When you go to the gas station, you are thinking like first of all, you are not going to get out of the car. You are, you just open the window, you tell them how much gas you want, and then they pump the gas for you, and like you pay them, and away you go. But no, it's so different from here because, like, you go to the gas station, you're expected to pump the gas yourself. If you may be a lady in heels and all that extensions. And now if you really need that gas, you're going to pump it yourself. Yeah. All right. So let's go to number 4. Yeah. No, number 5. Child protection was. I know in some other countries there's child welfare or child protection or whatever, but it's nothing compared to here. Like, I know in Zambia, there was actually a person that I kind of knew that faced that thing where the child welfare came because I guess the neighbors reported her. They were not happy about however she was taking care of the kids, and they reported her. So she ended up facing the child people. But then it's a different thing from here. Like, I think there is more rights that they've given to the children. It's not even funny. Like, yeah, like I'm sure here there's actually a law that if a child gets to 16 years old, if they choose to move, they can move, they can go live on their own, and you as a parent, there's nothing you can do. I'm just gonna end here because it doesn't sit well with me, but I am just going to reserve my comments, and we are going to move to point number 6, the work-life balance. they respect the work-life balance. If you have a job, say if you work overtime, they really have to pay you overtime. They have to pay you for your time that you worked over or outside the working hours. And like if say it's lunchtime, if you haven't got, they will even remind you, it's lunchtime, you're supposed to go to lunch. That's just the way they are. Or if you are that person that doesn't take a vacation, they will even remind you like, oh, you've got some leave days, you gotta take a vacation, you gotta take some leave. They do really have that work-life balance. Yeah, I like it. And let's go to number 7. Silence is normal. For some of us that just like to yap away, like you get on a bus, for example, I'm giving that example on the public bus just because like I've seen it. You get on a bus, you end up sitting with somebody else. Maybe the bus is full, maybe the bus is busy, and then you end up by a seat where there's other people on the bus. It's normal where I come from, where it's just small talk, like, oh, okay, so where you going, that kind of thing, just conversing like humans, all right? But here it's not the same because you get on a bus, you find people, and they will not converse with you because, and some like most of the time, most of them are like on the phone just typing away and browsing away and just like that. Yeah, that just seems like everybody mind their own business. In a way, that's not a very good thing because I actually took some Red Cross training, like right here in Canada. And then they even said, most of the time, the reason why a lot of people, when there's like a mass shooting, is because people are not aware of the surrounding. Like, it's different for me, like when I get on a bus, because I guess because of my upbringing, I just want to be aware of the person that's seated to me or who's seated to my right, who's seated to my left, or that kind of thing. Just because my mind takes me there where I'm like, okay, should I trust anybody in here, or anybody could be somebody that I don't trust, that kind of thing. So I just like to be aware of my surrounding, while some other people, they would rather just keep their, just maintain their silence because it's normal for them. It's not too normal for me. Let's go to number 8. Independence starts early. I touched on that already, where I was talking about the kids. They get to 16 years old. If they've got means and ways, they are free, they can move out from your house. They go and live on their own if they've got means to take care of themselves. Okay? So, because I guess partly because they want to encourage independence. Yeah, some people do that. What happens is at 16 years old, 15, 16 years old, if you get a job, you can get it, you can work where, like, if you can afford to pay some bills, then it's up to you. Yeah, so it's the means for them to I guess, to encourage independence. Okay, so that was number 8. Now I am going to talk about number 9. It says that nobody drops in unannounced. You know how we are in Africa where you're like, oh, okay, you don't even know whether they are going to be at home or you are going to bounce. You just drop in because you know those people and you just drop in to visit them. Like here, nobody just drops in unannounced. And there's some people that, for example, like when I lived in Winnipeg, there's some people that I was sort of close to. And those people, we didn't even see each other regularly. Like we only saw each other maybe once in 3 months, once in 4 months or whatever. And worse off, when it was winter, we just saw each other after winter, say in summer or whatever. Because people are busy with their life, like, you know, there's bills that, you know, to pay, you have to make ends meet and all that. So there's not a lot of people just kind of idling around. People work. And so there's not a lot of people that would just drop in unannounced. They really have to make an appointment, say, oh, okay, Frida, like, are you going to be at home on such and such a day? Can I come through or whatever? It's up to me. If I will be available, I'll say, yes, I will. If not, I'll say no, you know, that kind of thing. And nobody gets offended because you said no for them to visit. Like it's so different from like back home where someone will actually catch feelings because they feel like you are, I guess, you're stopping them from visiting, that kind of thing. Yeah, but right, so let's go to number 10. Another culture shock that I have seen when somebody says to you, how are you? They are just greeting you. Okay, you are not supposed to go into the life history or what happened or whatever. It's just a simple greeting. How are you? You say, I'm good or I'm well, you know, that kind of thing. And then life goes on. But then it's different from back home where if somebody asks you, how are you? Then you start telling the person how, okay, this month you were sick, you were, you know, you had a funeral, somebody died, or you were laid off, or, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, so people here is just like, how are you? Good, how are you? And life goes on. So, anyways, if there's any other points that I've missed, please feel free to go to the comment section and to let me know what I have missed. If these culture shocks that I've mentioned today are kind of shocking to you, you are free to go in the comment section and tell me about it. Like, if, you know, be shocked with me. You know, that kind of thing. That's we've come to the end of the video for today. If you really enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, comment, because there's just some people that may be interested in hearing this kind of information. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please feel free, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell so that each time I upload a brand new video, you are notified. We'll see you in my next video.